It is New Year's Eve,
New Year's Eve.
which means it is our final episode of the year.
That seems fake.
2023 is in the books.
That seems fake.
It is onward and upwards to 2024.
Still fake.
Which, of course, means it is time for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
This year was bonkers and a half.
It sure was. It sure was.
Wowza.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Season Long Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode 366, and it's time for the 2023 Game of the Year Awards.
Woo. As I mentioned, I definitely did not stress about this at all or anything. Woo.
Nope.
Nope.
Definitely did not.
Nope. No stress. No stress whatsoever. I was totally a normal person the
Yeah,
whole
of
time.
course.
Mm-hmm. 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 I was not totally a normal person. I was so stressed picking the thing, and then finally Jared's like, "This isn't supposed to be stressful. Just have fun with it. Make your choices."
Just do it.
And then I was like, "You know what? You're right, because you usually are." And then I made my choices, and now I'm living with them.
At some point, you just gotta. Next year,
Yeah.
you may look at it and be like, I don't know about that, but then that's just,
It wouldn't be the first year.
what else are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I mean, like, my decision may change tomorrow. But
True.
you know what? We're going with it because this year was completely bananas in terms of game releases, and there were a lot of good games.
A lot of good games came out this year. It was a
Mhm.
very good year for the video game products themselves. It was a very bad year for the industry itself. Oh boy.
Very bad.
Very bad.
Oh boy.
It's
Do better, game companies.
Yeah. Not a sustainable formula
No.
the way things were this year.
No, 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 no.
No, very much so not.
It was such a bummer because like we had such a banger year when it came to like the actual games that came out, and then you're like seeing on Twitter all the time like, well, I got let go from my job, or like this entire team got dissolved and blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God. It's like a bloodbath.
Yep.
Oof.
Not good.
No, no bueno. I don't know
So
why I went Spanish there.
hopefully things get better next year, but it probably won't, unfortunately.
I hope.
Can only hope.
Yeah.
But let's dive into our supplemental awards for 2023. We've got how many? 7?
I think that's right. Seven.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes.
There you go. 7 supplementary awards. There we go.
Mhm.
Can't speak.
It's
To
fine.
give out before we dive into our actual lists themselves. So let's start off with our first supplemental award. Best moment.
This moment.
This is a moment that we shared
Mm-hmm.
very early this year.
Yeah, I've had it in my game of the year list since we basically played this game, and I was like, oh my God, this rules.
We almost had a very tough decision to make, but we made a slight
loophole.
modification to
We got a loophole.
to have both of these moments shine. Here's our best moment of 2023, as I have labeled it, Bros and Ishin.
I named it Bro Moment in Like a Dragon Ishin.
Mm-hmm.
So we had very similar thought process there.
Yes. This moment, of course, is in Like a Dragon Ishin. It is where we get a recreation of the Yakuza 1 moment where a dog gets saved from being pelted with rocks, except this time it is Ryuji saving the dog instead of Kiryu. This is very fun. This leads into Ryuji and Akiyama trying to fight each other until Kiryu's like, we're not going to fight each other. We're going drinking.
We're going drinking.
We're going drinking. And then the boys just go and get drunk with the dog. And it's an amazing moment in that video game.
And then it changes the dynamics of the town afterwards because they're all like, you know what, we're bros now. Like
Yep.
we got drunk together. Like it's fine.
Man.
It ruled. It was so funny. And like the one moment where like the dog bites Ryuji and he's like, "You got spunk,
Yeah.
kid. I like you."
You're part of my group now.
It's like, "Oh no, the dog," but it was totally fine. Made him fall in love with the dog.
It's really, what a really good moment that
It's
was.
so good.
Man.
It ruled.
Oh boy. After that, I have best anime game.
Okay, I'll find one that I can throw in there.
Because you do not have that.
Um, okay, I have. Do you have most disappointing?
I have biggest bummer.
Okay,
It's
well
basically the
then
same thing.
we'll go with one that I know you definitely don't have.
Okay.
That's Maxwell and Game Boy's Game of the Year.
That's true. I do not have that.
Uh,
Um,
we'll do these matchups.
yeah. Best anime game of the year: Yohane the Parhelion Blaze in the Deep Blue.
Yes.
Fun game. Really wild to see a Metroidvania Love Live game.
Mm-hmm.
The sprite works very fun, and just it's a very charming game, and you play through as Yohane, beat up a bunch of fish, save
You
your
get
your
some nice
pals.
callbacks to Love Live lore,
Yeah,
or Love Live Sunshine lore specifically. That's good. It was a lot of fun. A
just a
little
fun time.
expensive, but
A little expensive, but
it was a good game. I enjoyed it.
yeah. Tell me about Maxwell and Game Boy's Game of the Year.
Um, I consulted with them and they, had a few things to say, but
Of course.
ultimately they picked Ghost Trick Phantom Detective Remaster.
Oh wow.
I know. And my explanation that I have here from them is that a cat is the hero of the game.
Well, there you go.
Um, that they're slightly jealous of my love of Missile, so they had to deal with that, but they were really, really excited to see a cat take the lead there. So they picked Ghost Trick the remaster.
I'm seeing here a quote from Game Boy and Maxwell, and it says, "Meow."
Meow.
Wise
One,
words as always.
one in a higher voice, one in a deeper guttural voice.
Meow. Meow. You'll never guess which is which.
You'll never guess.
Uh,
It's probably not what you expect.
no, that's true. Let's see. After that, I have best Jared Now co-op of the year.
I have that one too.
All right. Well, my best Jared Now co-op of 2023, Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's on here.
That game
I-
is a fun game. We have been power washing recently, and it's just a chill time. We spray stuff with water. We spray each other with water sometimes. We hear potato chips crunching because
Oh
of
my
the
God, yeah.
water for some reason. And we're power washing.
So that was originally my answer.
Yeah.
But I switched it. Um, but I will say Power Wash Simulator has been such a good time, and I'm really loving that game.
Mm-hmm.
My answer is Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Interesting. Nice.
Um,
That was a good co-op experience. You were
it,
right.
it was a good co-op experience. I liked being able to like explore with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were a few times I was like, "Oh, I found this," or you were like, "Hey, here's this here. Like we should go check this out." Or we were just yelling drugs. Um, and so like the co-op obviously online is a little bit different, but I think it worked fine.
Mhm.
But I was very appreciative of you being patient with my struggles with some levels. But I like that we were able to like help each other through it when we turned into ghosties and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was my favorite co-op experience of the year
I
with you.
genuinely forgot that would counted for co-op experience.
Really?
Because I was thinking of more just like other like co-op games we had played, like just more traditional co-op games, I guess,
Ah,
in
I
my
see, I
brain.
see. That makes sense.
But yeah, that is a good poll. I will agree with you on that.
Yay! It will
Uh,
come up again, I'm sure.
oh, of course. Best old game, which of course is a game that did not come out in 2023. So a
hmm
qualifier for that.
Or originally come out in 2023.
Yeah, whatever. Same difference.
Yeah. I'm just making that clarification because the game that I picked did technically come out in 2023, but it did not originally come out in 2023.
My best old game of the year, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
You picked Crisis Core?
Me Gungaga.
Me? Gongaga.
Yeah,
Oh,
we played through this I think like earlier in the year.
uh-huh.
Um, I thought it was really fun. It was like a good way to like get to understand Zach as a character for once. Because I didn't really know him as like well as you did and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You
but I
knew how
think
much I loved him, though.
yeah, but I think the biggest thing to come out of this is everyday, normal, regular guy Sephiroth.
Pulling his phone away from his ear because his friend talks too loud.
Yep, it's really good. And then also on top of that, Gacked
Yacked.
and
Reading
Genesis reading
poetry.
poetry. It's a real dumb good time.
I love that scene with them on the cannon
That's a pretty
fighting.
good scene.
Pretty good.
But yeah, that it was fun.
I'm so happy you made that decision. That makes me so jazzed.
Me Gongaga.
Me going guy. We make that reference so much at each other for like when
So
it's not
dumb.
even appropriate to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good. I've been looking at a sticker that's like a derpy Zach saying me going gaga, and I'm like,
Ooh,
I might need
it's
that.
pretty good.
Pretty good. Um, Mine is not going to be a surprise to you or anyone at all. It's Persona 3 Portable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, I mean, I love Persona 3. And Portable is always just such a good time. I love the FemC route. Um, there's so many like good and charming changes that happen there. And just anytime I get to play Persona 3 again, I'm happy.
And you get to play Persona 3 with full party
Control.
control.
Uh-huh.
Very good.
Yeah, because last time I played Persona 3, we played the Fez edition.
Right.
And that does not have it, and
No.
it is a joyous experience. So yeah, Persona 3 Portable, best old game from Al. I get to experience Persona 3 again next year.
Yeah, and, like a month and a half essentially.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so ready.
What else we got here? Biggest bummer or most disappointing game for you?
Mm-hmm.
My biggest bummer of 2023, Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 just the bed.
It had a good start,
It had
like
a very
a
solid
good
start.
start to first half.
Mm-hmm.
Like the combat was fun and everything, but then like the story just falls off a cliff in that back half, like just
Yeah.
terribly.
So bad.
It's
The
just
writing just got horrible.
it's really it's not fun, and it's like a lot of the side quests are kind of just meaningless
Yeah.
and just there to pad the game out.
Yep.
So you're just kind of just doing things for the sake of doing things, and yeah, it's, oh man,
I was so glad when I was done with it because I didn't have to play it anymore.
yeah.
And like that's not a good thing when you're playing a game.
I mean, we all love Ultima as a villain, right?
He just looks like a really David Bowie.
It just is terribly written and just talks to you a lot. It says nothing of note,
Says nothing.
and you're just like, just shut up. I'll beat you up. Shut up.
I think I made the reference when we were talking about Final Fantasy 16, but he's basically the guy in grad school that says a whole lot of words but doesn't actually say anything meaningful. But like
Mm-hmm.
he says a lot of big words, so you're like, he thinks he's smart,
Yep.
but he's not. Like that's Ultima in a nutshell.
Yep.
It just it didn't land.
No. Jill gets one cool moment and then it's just shelved for the rest of the game.
Yep, basically.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oof. Oofa doofa.
Oofa doofa. Anyways, what is yours?
Mine is not specifically a single game,
Okay.
although I do call one single game out and I will mention it by name.
Okay.
Um, but most disappointing, there have been some hot garbage Otome games this year.
All right.
God.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I will specifically call out Verse Evermore Error Salvation because that was one of the most miserable Otome experiences I've ever had. Um, that was a bad way to set up a game.
There was definitely like I think this year, mostly in particular, like quite a few games that just ended up in the bottom half of your big Otome list. So like,
Mm-hmm.
not something that usually happens.
Mm-mm. No, it was a very, very bad year for Otome, and it sucked. I was so sad. Ugh. Like I had two shining stars of Otome. I actually did the math here. Where was it? I played six new Otome games, which I should clarify six new Otome because I also played an old one and it was also bad. Um, I liked two. That's not good numbers.
No, that's what they say is 33%.
That's not good numbers. Um, but yeah, even if you add in the old one that I played, that's seven Otome games I played this year, and I like two.
That's less percent. I don't know the math there.
I don't know the math there, but like, come on, guys, do better. Don't play Verse Evermore, children. Just don't.
Have we talked about that game yet, or
We haven't.
okay? I didn't know if that was one we had talked about or not.
No, we haven't talked about it. I figured that if there's any blank spaces in January, we can talk
Yeah.
about.
I mean, we have quite a few things we can talk about in January for sure.
Yeah, because I have that one and then another Otome game I'll mention later. But
Yes.
um, yeah, it's oof, oofa doofa. Very disappointing.
Completely. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I know we have another award that is a difference for both of us, but let's go to our final together award,
Okay.
which is of course best musical sequence.
Best musical moment. Yep.
And obviously
Obviously, there's only one choice.
there is one choice, and it is Alan Wake 2,
The We Sing segment.
the Herald of Darkness.
Holy this moment. You got to it first.
Yes, and we were on call together, and like I was going through it and just being like, "What is going on?"
And I was just like, something wild is happening to you right now. I didn't hear anything. You didn't spill the beans on what was going on. You were just like, you're gonna want to see this.
Yep.
And I got to it and I'm just like, this is amazing. This is brilliant. Like the song goes hard. The song's so good. There's choreography.
Yep.
It's great. Alan Wake looks like a big old nerd. I like it with his dumb slacks. I love how like they actually use the song to like direct you through the gameplay. And they even tricked me at one point with a guitar solo. They're like, stand here and wait for the guitar solo. And I did that, and then I got attacked.
That's how they get you.
Nah. This was brilliant. Like I've mentioned to you, I sent it to my boss because I had like I was still thinking about it after I played it, and I mentioned it to him, and he's like, "What do you mean? There's a musical segment in this game?" It's like you just got to see it to understand what I'm talking about. And I sent it to him. He's like, "This is what video games do now." Like, not all games. Let me be clear. This was just this specific game. Um, it was so good.
Yeah, I had such a fun time. It was interesting because we were talking when we talked about like the making of Alan Wake 2, and they're like, Sam Blake really wanted to do this, and the development team's like, I don't know about this, and he insisted. It's like this. Just imagine this game without this in it.
No, it would have been a much worse game. Not that it's a bad game at all, because it'll show up later.
But it was going to be a lesser experience for sure.
Yeah, and like Sam Lake got to dance.
Yep.
I was so happy for him. He was having the time of his life doing that choreography.
It's such a fun time.
It was so fun. And like it was really needed in the game because like a lot of it is really heavy. A lot of it is like jump scary and freaky. And so it was like a nice moment of brevity to be like, okay, well, this is weird. I'm into it.
Good times.
It was rad.
Good times.
Hmm.
What do we got next? We have our final supplementary award.
Hmm.
Mine is best use of social media,
Oh, okay.
which of course goes to Goodbye Volcano High.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it is just very good. It is, um, it does a good job of replicating like actual like social media as it is today in terms of it like just people. It's a lot of posting really.
Hmm.
That is the core of this, and it's just it is very much our style of humor, like our generation style of humor
Yeah,
in
it
terms
felt very
of
millennial coded when I
yeah.
saw what
So
you were posting.
it was every time I got to like open up the menu and look through the social media, there's like always something in there that would make me just laugh a lot. And it was just it was such a good little like side thing to do, but like it was so funny, and I really enjoyed that.
Yay.
What is yours?
Best surprise.
All right, give me your best surprise, and I'll be surprised.
You will not be surprised. Best surprise, Jacques Jean.
I'm surprised.
It was an ongoing thing that like you were like, look at this game. It keeps getting the top of Open Critic for the like this year. And we're like, the Atomic game, top of the
I
list.
mean, I believe it
That's
still
wild.
is.
Okay, so they're
Yes,
using that as a promo now. They send that out in the email of like, look how high it is this year. Which is great. I did not know what to expect from this game, and I will talk about it more later, but it ruled. It
it
was
was one.
so
It was
good.
one of the two.
It was one of the two. It says something. Um, but I was so surprised by this game and how great it was and how it's still stuck in my head, like what, half a year after I played it, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
you have like the soundtracks for it with like the
mhm,
original songs and everything that
mhm,
you play a lot.
I have the instrumental OST as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have the soundtrack on my work playlist. And so like I'll go from like lo-fi Nintendo beats to like one of the songs from this and it's completely different, but you know what? I'm here for it. Um yeah, and it's also a really different kind of Otome game because it's a rhythm game and it also has 3D models, which never happens.
Yeah.
They're not good 3D models, but that's fine. They don't have to be.
No.
So that's it. Jacques Jean.
Jacques Jean.
Jacques Jean, very French. I don't know
And there
why I
you
did
go.
that. Please just ignore that.
I'm very surprised.
I mean, you're probably not very surprised because you knew I liked it a lot. I don't know if you knew that I was like shocked that it was that good, but
I mean, like when we talked about it, you were pretty adamant about that.
yeah.
So,
Good.
well, those are our supplemental awards. Let's dive into our next segment, which is, of course, roll out the red carpet. It's time for the next inductee into the Seasonal Anime Checkup Hall of Fame.
Hit me. I'm so excited.
Of
Woo!
course, if you remember, our previous Hall of Fame inductees are Final Fantasy Mystic Quest,
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy X-2,
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 6,
Mm-hmm.
and now a fourth game will join these games in the hallowed halls of the Hall of Fame,
The upper echelon.
the upper echelon. This is a game that unfortunately was shut down this year.
Yep.
And it is a game we played a lot of. It is a game that was around, a mobile game specifically, around for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it was, we got a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially me because I've been playing it for about, almost a decade. So,
Yeah. I played it for about half of that, but still.
yeah.
It was a long time. I
It's
got
good.
a ton of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. The fourth game to be inducted into the Seasonal Anime Checkup Hall of Fame, of course, Love Live School Idol Festival.
Boo! And also boo, because it's dead.
Yeah. And we still can't play the sequel yet.
Nope, still can't play the sequel. It's never coming to us. Ugh.
Yeah, School Idol Festival is great. It was just a rhythm game. You do gotcha for some cards. It for a while it probably had the best gotcha mechanics in like for a mobile game because a lot of it was just like you didn't really have to put money into it if you didn't need to because they would give you so much currency
Yeah.
that you would be fine pretty much. I mean, obviously as the game went on, they were like, hey, we could make some money out of this more if we did this, this, and this. So we got a little bit more in terms of like modern gotcha mechanics, but like I said, I played this for nearly a decade. And that's saying a lot for a mobile game. And also just in terms of the longevity of the game. I started the game when, it was only Muse was in the game, like original Love Live. And that was the only thing. Sunshine didn't exist. Nijigasaki didn't exist. Superstar didn't exist. Everything else, that has come so far, like the musical, the app girls, none of that existed. And then like I remember like when Sunshine music started coming into the game, and then when they put the Nichi gals into the game because of All Stars and all that sort of stuff. Like you got to see so many different evolutions of the game over the course of that time. And just like it had such a big library of songs to play through and everything. Like, there was the good challenge to it in terms of like playing like on expert or master difficulty.
I was so proud when I finally got my first like master difficulty win.
Yeah.
Like I started on easy and I completed it where I could do expert and master like fine. Which is a good thing for me. That's amazing. My mom also called it the Ruby game.
That's not wrong. Piggy. There was fun events all the time, and they had
The art was beautiful.
varied events. The art was good. I thought the stories were fun because a lot of the stories we got to see different kind of character pairings than you would see in the source material. So you got to see just more different character interactions than you would be accustomed to, or just weird, goofy things that the characters could get up to in terms of just like what they could write or put them into whatever.
Right. Like the like Yohane Kanon like sister dynamic was really good, and
Yeah.
like you never see that anywhere.
And that was just made in this game, and they made it for the game for like a specific event or something, and then they just continued it. Like when they would do other stories, they would like call back to it. So like,
It was so good.
yeah, it was just really good. Like I said, it's a shame. I mean, we talked about this in the episode. We gave our eulogies to this game essentially. It's a shame this game's gone, and it's a shame that like all that content's gone as well.
Yeah. 07.
07s, but yeah, School Idol Festival was great.
Yes. That's how I really learned a lot of the songs, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, same.
So,
Same.
I mean, like, now I listen to them all the time. I was like, oh, this song, I love this song. But, like, that's how I learned a lot of the songs is just from playing that game.
Yeah.
Because they're not all in the show.
Yeah. It's a very good game.
I miss it.
Same.
I haven't actually deleted it off my phone yet.
Oh. Clinging on.
I know. I'm just sitting there like, oh,
One
I
day.
miss you. I
One day
miss
it'll
you.
come back, right?
One day.
But yeah, that is our fourth Hall of Fame inductee, Love Live School Idol Festival. Well deserved.
Applause, applause, applause.
Well, it's time to get into our Game of the Year list. But before we get into our Game of the Year list, because there were so many games,
Because
We
this year was such a banger.
we have honorable mentions for the first time.
Hmm.
So we'll dive into those very quickly, and then maybe these will be surprises to both of us and see like what didn't make our lists.
Maybe. Yeah, I've got 7 honorable mentions.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as well.
Awesome.
Here are my honorable mentions for 2023. These are all good games. They just couldn't make the cut for one reason or another, but they are still games you should probably check out at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Final Bar Line.
Oh, that one's so good.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye Volcano High. Honkai Star Rail. Yohane the Parhelion Blaze in the Deep Blue. Anonymous Code. Like a Dragon, Ishin. and The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie.
Oh, wow.
Those are my honorable mentions.
All right, you want mine?
Yes.
All right, I have Anonymous Code.
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Dragon Ishin.
Mm-hmm.
Yohane the Parhelion Blaze in the Deep Blue. My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, Pirates of the Disturbance.
Okay.
Title. Super Mario RPG Remake.
All right. Yeah, that was a game.
Uh-huh. And then the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC.
All right, that came out this year.
It sure
Which
did.
is so hey, a Xenoblade related thing not making the top 10?
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, wild, right?
Wild, yes.
Especially because I love that DLC.
Yeah.
It was so good. Hearing Matthew yell, "I'm full of beans," is amazing.
But yeah, that is our honorable mentions. Let's dive into the list. You have a top 10 this year because you had to
Yep.
make a top 10 this
I
year.
had to.
So we will be going back to back.
Ping
as we
pong in it.
start, yeah. Number 10 for me.
Mhm.
Master Detective Archives Raincode.
Hey, that's my number 10 too.
Wow, all right, there we go.
Yay!
Yeah, this game's really fun. I really like the story. I thought the investigative mechanics worked really well. The mini games worked really well. I think they work better than they do in like Danganronpa per se because I feel like they just make more sense in this.
Yeah.
And then like just the investigative stuff, I think also is more finely tuned. Which of course, like I mean, if you don't know, this is pretty much the Danganronpa team.
Yeah.
It's the character designer. It is the soundtrack guy.
The writer.
They have names, obviously, but
Yeah.
I just don't have them off the top of my head. And this is a Kodaka as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is basically all that stuff. It's 3D, so that's also an interesting little thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one negative part about this game is that it is locked to the Switch, so it is not on a good console that could handle this game.
Yeah. Well, and the lip syncing is really not good.
Yeah. It's just like there are parts of this game that just don't look good because like the textures are very blurry. It doesn't run all that great. It's specifically
The loading screens.
the loading is very long, but also it's weird because like it is a game set in a city that rains all the time, so that's also going to make the game slower.
Correct. Yes.
So that doesn't help. But like if this was on like any other console but the Switch, that probably would not be a factor. It would not make any difference, and it would probably be higher on the list because of that.
I agree with you entirely. And I think it's really like it was cool to me that there are a few cases that I genuinely got like emotional playing. Specifically like 2 and 4 were like really, really rough on me. And I think that a lot of especially 2, the way that things were like set up to like show off how things went down. I think it was really, really well done. And as I've mentioned, I like most of the characters except for one. And then it turns out in the DLC, like he's not like that. So he can be a regular person, believe it or not. But he chooses to be a insufferable weirdo.
Yeah.
In the main game.
Yeah, a lot of the characters are really fun in this and like have good stories. I really like Yuma's character, his characterization.
I love Yuma.
I really like Shinigami in terms of just being a big gremlin.
Such a gremlin. Like I was concerned about Shinigami when I first came in because it was like, all right, she's like your pervert booba lady, but like she's genuinely a very good character. Like she is Turbo Gremlin. But I loved her, and I think it was also a really good dynamic with her and Yuma that like he just brushed off a lot of her like nonsense. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm not even acknowledging that you said that.
And it's interesting as well because for the most part in the Danganronpa team's games, like with the way Kodaka writes stuff, like it is the dude who is like the
pervy weirdo.
Yeah, kind of, but also more like the kind of like helpless one and doesn't really know much, and like his detective partner is the more straight-laced one.
Yeah, you're right.
Whereas this is kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting little dynamic there. But yeah, their dynamic is really fun.
Really fun. I love Yako as well.
Yeah, like
I have to mention him.
Most of the master detectives you meet have really fun quirks to them and everything. So
Alara just wants to get paid.
Yeah, and kick
I
things.
mean, good for them, honestly.
It's real fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it had some good twists and turns there throughout,
Hmm.
um, leaving you guessing all the way up to the end and everything. So yeah,
I'm so glad you get to play this before the end of the year because I was wondering if this was going to make your list.
yeah, sneaks in.
Yay! I love that it's 10 for both of us. That's funny.
It's very. I wonder if that's going to be the only thing that matches.
It might be.
Yeah. Number 9. Hit me with your number 9.
A Space for the Unbound.
Interesting. That's going to be well, that'll show up later, let's say. So we'll talk about that when
We'll
it
talk
shows up
about it later
later.
then. Okay, okay.
Well, I guess this is probably going to be the same for this one. My number 9, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name.
That will also come up
All
later.
right, we'll talk about both of those games later when they come up.
Do 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 do. I know the
Uh,
next one we're not going to talk about on yours.
Number 8, this is also a game that we're not going to talk about on yours.
Yay!
My number 8 game of the year, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, no Wookiee poison.
No, there's no Wookiees in this game.
How
Unfortunately.
disappointing. How disappointing.
Yeah, I played through Fallen Order earlier this year and finally got to play through all that and enjoyed it. I think what they're building with this series is really good. Like the characters themselves really get to expand and stand out more in this. And you just get more like into the actual characters themselves, into their stories and all that. The combat continues to be really fun and good. Like they don't do the thing we normally think of like in terms of like sequels where it's like, oh, we're gonna strip your powers away and you got to relearn everything. It's like, no, everything from the start. We're just gonna add new stuff to you. Like, you get a grappling hook and all this sort of stuff and a gun. So like, it's just like, all right, you have all these set abilities from the first game. Let's just add to them and make it so you have even more options to play with, which is really fun. The settings and everything is interesting because like they made it more open world than the previous game, and at first I wasn't sure what to think of that, but as I played through it more, like I started to like appreciate it more as like you just can kind of just go wherever you want and do things, but also like there's also the levels where it is kind of more laser focused of like, all right, you're going from here to here to here and everything, and yeah, I thought the way they showcased the story was a lot of fun. Potentially setting up for a third game, which I think they are working on. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, this is.
I'm writing it down. I'm quoting right now.
Oh no.
Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, these games are really good. These might be some of the best single player Star Wars games you could probably find that they've made
Ooh.
in the history of Star Wars video games. So,
Ooh.
and you can make your character look like a dirtbag, so that's also fun.
Oh my God.
You could just have him have a big bushy terrible mustache, or you can give him like the new metal soul patch goatee with
No.
like a mullet.
No.
It's really funny. But
Oh
yeah,
my God.
it's a fun time. It's a really good time. Tell me your
Nice.
number 8.
My number 8, we have talked about a little bit already.
Mm-hmm.
It is Jacques Jean.
There you go.
Um, Again, this was one of the games that like redeemed Otome for me, this year. The things that I didn't mention earlier is that like I think one of the things that really, really worked for me is that this really felt like a found family type of game. Um, all the characters, no matter what route you're on, like they work together, they make each other like the best person that they can be. You see a lot of character growth regardless of what route you're on in every single character. And like that's so cool to me that like even though you're on one character's route, you're still getting like the story of other characters and you're seeing like them achieve things that they want to achieve. You don't usually get that. Like once you get onto somebody's route, you just basically ignore everybody else. But that's not what happens here. Like you have to work together and get these plays going. Um, and the romance is super cute and worth mentioning that like it does some really cool stuff with gender. Um, because since it's an all men's school, all men's theater school, I guess just to clarify, like, hey, that's the whole idea of this game is that it's an all men's theater school and you have to hide your gender and pretend you're a guy the whole time to go. Um And so like you have the whole idea of like the Jacks and the Johns and who's playing like the women characters. And like you have one character who in every single play he plays a woman character. Um and like that's what he's comfortable with. That's fine. It's also how like the protagonist gets away with like not having to change in front of people because that one character's like, I don't want to change in front of you weirdos. Like I want a separate room. And so like she doesn't have to do it either. Um, but also like you have the whole thing going on in this game of only two of the characters know that you're a woman to begin with. One of them just figures it out because he's a very smart dude. But the rest of them have to like come to terms with it, like the whole like Mulan style, like, do I have a crush on a guy? Huh, interesting. Um, so there's that. But this game was so fun. It was really, really good. The music's good, the performances are good. I love that it had the two different types of rhythm games. Like it had the slider song style, and then it had the like button pressing dance versions. That's the word I'm looking for. Um, and then also like the dude who did Tokyo Ghoul is the one who like he was the director, the lyricist, and contributed to like writing and world building, and also did the art. So like this is kind of his game, and that was something I didn't expect was him to do an Otome game. How did
Especially
that
from Tokyo Ghoul to this, it's not necessarily the path you expect. Yeah.
like how did that come about? How did that happen? And like he obviously still very much cares about this game because he like posts lore and stuff and backstories on Twitter still, which is wild.
hmm
But I love this game. I love this game. I love the characters. It was so fun. The plays were all really different. Um, yeah, it's still stuck in my head. I'm too Jack John pilled at this point. That's my number eight.
All right. Well, number 7. Hit me with your number 7.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Well, that will come up later. So,
Okay, all right. We'll talk about it later. Hit me with your number seven.
my number 7, The Legend of Heroes: Trails to Azure.
That will come up later.
There you go. We'll talk about those games later.
Yay!
All right. Number 6. You ready to get controversial?
Oh boy.
My number 6 game of the year. Ooh, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
All right. That will come up later. Wow, wow, wow. Six.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting. I mean,
Yep.
this is a wild year, so I kind of expected that. Um, my number six, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
All right. Well, let's talk about that game.
Yeah, because we already talked about it. It was which number was it for you?
9.
Nine. Okay, so it's six. It was higher for me. That's wild.
Uh, it was a hard choice made between this and Ishin. I like both of these games a lot. I think the thing it came down to me for me was that Gaiden was just more fun to play because it is the modern engine
Engine.
of like a Dragon games, whereas Ishin was an offshoot of 5, so
Mm-hmm.
just different things altogether. And it was fun to hang out with Kiryu again, which is interesting because
You mean Joryu?
sorry, Joryu. Because we thought like that whole thing was going to be done and over with. So like
Mhm.
his story was wrapped up and everything. But to get something new on it was real intriguing, and to see where they went with it and how it tied into 7 and all that sort of stuff was fun. Yeah,
I think that one of the things that set this apart for me was just the level of like vulnerability that was in this game
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like their willingness to let Kiryu be sad. Like he's going through a lot. He's struggling. Um, but then you also get like that tablet scene at the end. I was a mess while we were playing that. I was a mess. I was just crying. But then you also get him like taking over a ship and taking selfies with some hot chicks in bathing suits. So like, you know, the duality of man.
Yep.
And you get some like good fan servicey stuff. Like you get some stuff from Judgment that was really good.
Yeah, very much so.
Although hearing them in Japanese was very weird to me.
Yes.
Um, but
Kaito.
Kaito, the boys. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed seeing like what was going on here, and it's really got me hyped for Infinite Wealth.
Hmm.
So there you go, number 6 for me.
Number 6.
Who would have thought that Yakuza Like a Dragon game would be number 6 on one of my lists?
It's not that surprising.
We have come very far
We
from
have.
when we first started.
Mm-hmm. Number 5. Hit me with your number 5.
Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie.
All right. Well, let's talk about that real quick.
All right. So obviously this is a big game in the sense that like there are 3 like intertwining stories, 3
Mm-hmm.
protagonists. Um, and you also have like Sky, the SSS, you have both class 7s, you have new characters. But everybody really gets some breathing room. You get some really great moments. Like I specifically was thinking of the class president election, the school infiltration with Kurt, Lloyd being a dad, um, Randy's figuring out and trying to figure out where he wants to be and what he wants to do. Rain really like accepts and embraces being a teacher. Um, and I'm gonna be as spoiler free as possible here, but like there's a moment with C, where he's able to like identify which lapis is the real lapis, and like the way he did it was weird, but she sees it as, oh, you recognize me as me. And it was really funny that there was like that heartwarming moment where he's like, yeah, I just had a tracker on her. So it was good. But seeing characters you don't normally see interact was a lot of fun. So yeah, I it was a good way to cap off Crossbell, Cold Steel,
Cold sauce.
um, Cold Sauce, and now again, I'm really jazzed for Daybreak. Since we got some previews of that in Reverie, I had a really good time with this game.
Yeah, like it is a very good game. I for my list, I had to make a choice between this or Azure,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I enjoyed the story of Azure more, and that's kind of what pushed it ahead. And also, like there's a lot of characters in Reverie.
There's
It's
a lot of
kind of
characters.
bloated in that aspect.
There are a lot of and a lot of them end up getting like sidelined in the
Yeah,
Reverie corridor and all that.
yeah,
But I just really think there were some good moments. And again, like Azure has not come up on my list yet. So
yeah. That I just wanted to give my reasoning for why I didn't make the list
yeah,
in particular. But yeah, it is a very good game. Do not get me
it's a
wrong.
very good
Like
game.
you said, a lot of the moments are really fun. The story goes in directions you aren't necessarily expecting. Um, yeah, and it is the third Crossbell game, of course. So
Mm-hmm. And the 5th Cold Steel game.
it has all that going for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. My number 5 game of the year, Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon.
Robots.
Robots. What a very good action game this is. Just so much fun to play. Having these very speedy mechs just going pew, 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 pew. It's really fun. The story keeps you invested enough to want you to replay it and like a couple of times to get the true ending, which is interesting. And I think that the stuff they do with the new game plus routes where you get like different missions and everything is good because like it gives you more incentive to keep going instead of just having to replay everything over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the gameplay is just phenomenal. Probably the best action game I played all year. And like I said when we talked about this game when on the podcast, probably the closest I'll get to having a Gundam game that I actually like want to play. So yeah, my number 5.
Yay.
Number 4.
Number 4.
My number 4 game of the year, Alan Wake 2.
Mine is also Alan Wake 2.
Way!
Hey, we got a match.
We had 2 match up. Let's go.
Woo!
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Alan Wake 2 is very good.
It's so good.
I had a
I
lot
this
of fun
game
with this game.
shouldn't have existed and it does, and I'm so happy about it.
I really enjoyed the way they show off both Alan's route and Saga's route, and then how they
Mhm.
intertwine those routes and everything. Like we talked about, the musical number is incredibly good. The storytelling in this is really fun and everything, and goes in some directions you definitely are not going to expect.
Nope.
Uh, they eventually,
And like we were coming up with like theories when we
yeah,
were chatting about it,
yeah.
which is fun.
They eventually did kind of fix this a bit, but when we played it, the ending was not as great as we would have wanted.
Yeah, that's what I put is that the original ending fell flat.
Yeah,
But the new Game Plus ending did a little bit more that was
but I don't
better.
really see the reason why you would lock that behind New Game Plus. Is the
I
thing.
agree. I 100% agree. Um, I also didn't like all the jump scares.
Yeah, a lot of them were just real cheap
Yeah, I didn't like that.
and just weren't really necessary.
Yeah, I'm not a jump scare human. Like I don't like things
Yeah,
yelling
menus
at
will
me
come
on the
at you.
screen. You're right, you're right. Um, so I was like, oh, come on. And then like Cynthia, lady, you gotta stop. You
Bah!
you gotta chill,
Bah!
Cynthia. She was egregious.
Bah!
But yeah, I had a really good time with this game. It plays well, like
hmm
it looks great.
Yeah.
Um, it was a ton of fun.
hmm
And I love that we got to get some fun times with like characters we've seen before and see different sides of them. And then we got the new characters and it was legit. I
Yeah.
love this game.
Whole lot of fun.
So fun.
Well, let's dive into our top three.
Top three.
Uh, Hit me with your number three.
Legend of Heroes, Trails to Azure.
All right, well, let's talk about that. The second
Um,
Crossbell game that came out, it finally came out over here. It came out earlier this year.
mhm.
Um, Man, what a it is something in these games, especially in the Trails games in particular, where it seems like the even numbered games really just ramp things up in a way that you just are like you're on a roller coaster and you are not getting off until the very end.
Nope. And I mean, things will go completely bonkers
Mm-hmm.
on that roller coaster, and you just got to hold on.
Yeah. Uh, they really go places with the storytelling in this. I really
Mhm.
like like we get Wazzy in the team now because
Oh, I
Wazzy is such
love
a weirdo.
Wazzy. I love
Mm-hmm.
Wazzy.
Good moments with Lloyd and all the other people or all the other his other SSS teammates as he has to like kind of bring all them back together
Hmm.
eventually through the story and everything. Um, and then just some really wild moments as you wrap things up near the end, especially like one of the twists near the end is very it's very out there, and you're just like, "Whoa, oh, okay, huh? Interesting."
Yep. Yep. You're like, oh wow, okay. You, huh?
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, yeah, it's such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought it up in the 2021 Game of the Year list for me as a supplementary because I'd played the fan translation then.
Right.
And I think that it's really worth mentioning again that the Geofront team was hired to do the like official translation work for this version of it, and like even their like quality of life changes they did ended up on the Switch version, and so like that's really cool, and that's how you should address like fan work of your content.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was great.
And
And their
probably the only
translation's awesome.
yeah, and probably the only way those games were ever come out.
Hmm. Um, Side note, also hilarious that I recognized a voice actor based off of one single line that Lloyd says when he fishes. I was like, wait a minute, I know this voice actor because I recognize that line because Lloyd says it whenever he fishes because I fish so much in this game.
That's Al for you.
But yeah, this game is so, so good. You got some really good like character building moments and like throughout it, honestly. Um, get to have some big character twists like, Wazi and Zeit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, it led into seeing like how some of these characters change in Reverie, and it was pretty cool. And Lloyd is just a dad now.
He sure is.
He sure is a dad. I love this game.
It's really good.
Yep. So number three, that's me.
No Geofront theme though.
And it's a one detriment. It's a Geofront theme. Why would you take that away?
Big shame.
Why?
But yeah, a good video game. My
Good
number
video.
3 game of the year, A Space for the Unbound.
Ooh.
I really enjoyed this game. I thought the way it showed up as a period piece was interesting. Also taking place in a country
Indonesia.
that is not usually the setting of a video game or like a lot of mass market media in terms of that.
Hmm.
I thought the pixel art was very good and everything, and then just like the overall story was really interesting and really kept you guessing throughout and everything, and the way they were able to kind of mix all that in with like the adventure game style of gameplay and all that,
Hmm.
and especially with like the way they were able to like mix in discussions of like mental health and everything that felt very realistic in a way that
Hmm.
you also really don't see a lot in video games. Was just really really well done.
It was wild for me to play from the opposite perspective of what I would like normally experience as person that deals with these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was really eye-opening to me to see like that in a game. It was really exciting. I mean, it's sad, but it's exciting to see like that kind of perspective being put in here and like how realistic it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also you get to pet and name all the
You
kitties.
do. It's very good.
That's really legit.
Who doesn't love petting a bunch of cats
I mean, I love petting a bunch of cats.
and naming them very dumb things?
I named them basically every dumb thing I could.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that game was it was very good. I really enjoyed my time with that game.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Highly, highly recommend.
Yeah. And now there are two.
There are two. You just decided on these today.
I did. You're right.
Wow.
I kind of had an idea of where this was going to go. I just needed to put pen to paper, essentially.
Okay.
My number 2 game of the year, Resident Evil 4.
Mine is also Resident Evil 4.
Hey, we got 3 that matched up.
3. That's not bad.
Nah. This was very surprising for me because, as we've talked about before,
You don't like the original Resident Evil 4.
no, I'm not the biggest fan of original Resident Evil 4. I obviously came to that game very late compared to everyone else.
Hmm.
And like, the story is good and everything. It's just like, I don't feel the gameplay had really aged all that particularly well. So it was something that like, it was like, okay, I played it. That's cool and everything, but I don't really have an itch to ever go replay that game ever again.
Right.
So this coming out, it was going to be interesting because like it was going to be on the remake engine or the RE engine. That's not the remake
Hmm.
engine, but it's based off the same engine that they'd made the previous 2 remakes off of.
Hmm.
And we were kind of cautious about it going in because 2 had taken a bit of a more serious tone.
Yeah.
3 was still kind of weird. But we weren't really sure how they were going to handle the goofiness of 4 in particular.
Right.
And it wasn't
It's
until we played that demo where he has the bingo line in it that
the
we were kind of
bingo
like,
line.
all right, maybe it's something here. Maybe it's not
Yeah,
going to be that bad.
because people were like, oh, Resident Evil 4, it's a grim, dark, very serious game. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, there are so many stupid moments in Resident Evil. Like, have y'all played Resident Evil 4? There's so many dumb moments. So I was really worried that they wouldn't be there, but a lot of them survived.
Yeah. And then like
It was still scary.
the gameplay is just excellent.
It's so
It's so
good.
good. And like you said, like the way they were able to implement the goofiness into this like the horror themes and everything. Little Lord Boy's there.
Lord
Little
boy.
Lord Boy.
He's there.
You get some real fun, goofy outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And
The knife just floats sometimes.
floating knife sometimes. And just, I thought it was real. I thought the way they kind of changed the characters up a little bit here and there to like modernize them, but also just like do different things with them worked really well. The dynamic between like Leon and Ashley and Leon and Ada is very good.
And Leon and Luis.
Yeah, Leon Luis. I had such a fun time with this game, and in just the ways I was never would have expected. Like this game is
Yeah.
so much fun. I replayed it like 2 or 3 times, I think,
Yeah, you replayed it a few times.
and just had a blast every single time. The DLC was also a good time.
And I love that the stuff that like, or most of the stuff that got cut from like the regular story of this, ended up in Ada's version of it. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's actually a really cool idea
Yeah.
to take some of the other goofy moments that couldn't fit in the original. Because some of them was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer is gone. But then Ada's just like, hello, I have this moment now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. It's really, really good. Also hilarious that Wesker just refuses to say Luis in like the Spanish way. He's like,
Lewis.
Louis. He's like, man, just be as white as possible. Why don't
Hello,
you?
Lewis.
Hello, Louis. It's so funny. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do next because we know they're going to do some more remakes. But like, I don't know. I mean, the canon's obviously going to be different now because the canon has changed in this. Because obviously Ada met Agent, her best friend.
Hmm.
Duh. Like that's who she has in the helicopter is Agent.
Yep.
Um, so it's interesting to see where it's gonna go from here. But I loved this game.
It's really, really good.
It is incredible. Also, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very nice looking game as well. And that helps too.
Yeah, like
Um,
just a side note, it's a very pretty game.
they've done really well with the last two Resident Evil games with this and 8.
Hmm.
Even though they're basically kind of the same game in a nutshell, but like still two
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
good games they made.
Two very good games. Also, this chainsaw dude's still really scary.
But you can parry them with a knife now.
You can. I can't. You can.
I can. I got that unbreakable knife.
I want that unbreakable knife. I've been thinking about replaying it so I can get that, but
I had the
I
unbreakable
just,
knife. I got the armored suit for Ashley.
it's like, how am I ever gonna find time to do that? So I
That is
haven't.
true. There's been not enough time for that. Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is really good.
It's so
This
good.
version is.
Yes. Well, I mean, I like the original one too, but this is a huge improvement over the original, and I am not afraid to say that. Like, as somebody who really liked the original, this blows it out of the water, and I would never play the original again.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, Al, it's time for
Hmm.
our number one games of the year. Our games of the year.
You know what mine is already.
Al, tell me about Tears of the Kingdom and why it was your game of the year.
Yes. So Tears of the Kingdom. This it took me a while to land on this. I'm not even gonna lie. So it wasn't like a slam dunk year number
You
one.
told me there was at one point where this was not even in the top three.
Correct. There was one point. Um, but during my intense thought process that's been going on all this week, I realized like I still think about Tears of the Kingdom. I still like think about some of the moments that were happening there. I still think of some of the gameplay. Um, like the Ultra Hand mechanic was so clever. And I had so much fun just building all kinds of stupid stuff, even though like, sometimes there was like watching people on the internet do Korok murder. But also like that was kind of cool to see a community build around like what can you build in this game? Um, and one thing that I saw a lot of people say is like, oh, well, it's just Breath of the Wild point 0.5. Um, but I think that what really sold this for me is that Breath of the Wild was Game of the Year 2017 for me. Yes. This game, it still had a lot of the familiarity and like comfortableness of Breath of the Wild, but it still did enough new that like I was having fun doing the exploration. I was having fun doing the like little mini dungeons. But then we also had like the regional main dungeons, so it felt like more of a traditional Zelda in that sense. And I liked having my buddies with me. That was a lot of fun, even if sometimes they ruin stuff. Um, and just like the lore that was built up with the Zonai, we had the depths, we had the Sky Islands. I still got that like beautiful moment at the very beginning where like you come out of a cave and you see like this crazy place. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Um, I also was super happy that Zelda got some time to shine, even though she wasn't playable. Like she really, really was a crush of the story here. And she got some nice familial love finally. Finally, she got some acceptance from a family. Um, and that final boss, I still think about the final boss and like that ending sequence and like that life bar just going across and going across and going across. Like it was so cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, I put a ton of time into this game. I had so much fun. I got a fishing murder boat.
You did have a fishing murder boat.
So like that's cool. Um, I feel like Tears of the Kingdom had a lot to live up to. Because Breath of the Wild was so good. I mean, we both acknowledge like it was one of the best Zelda games to come out, period. Um, and I just think that it was able to pull it off, that they pulled off something that still had that magic with it and did something new with it that didn't make it feel like the exact same game. Um, so it reminded me a lot of Majora's Mask in that sense, and that you had the same assets, you have the same like general character and idea and all that, but you're taking them and kind of flipping them on their head and adding in new stuff that you have to you have to work with. So, I loved this game, and that's how it ended up at number one. Is I just, yep, I love it. I love it. I had to teach while I was playing this, and I came in on a Monday, and my students were like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I was like, "No, let's go." But they
Ah,
all,
the sleep deprivation part.
yes, yes, yes.
I remember now.
Yeah, yeah. So that was one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, I legit was like not sleeping because I wanted to play more of this game. I was so into this game. Um, but yeah, my students were just like, are you good? It's like, yep, Zelda came out. Everything's fine. You want to learn about digital history, kids? Yeah, I had bags under my eyes, but it was, man, it's the Master Sword. It was so good. Anyway, you didn't get to talk about why you liked it because I forgot it was on your list, but I don't remember where.
Number six.
Number six. So you
I
obviously didn't like it as much as I
no,
did,
I
but
to be fair, I cannot argue with anything you just said. I agree with literally everything you said.
yay! And I've mentioned it before. Basically, anything in my top five could have been game of the year, and I would have been totally fine.
Yeah. I think for me, though, the thing that pushed this game down my list is that I think everything above it, I had more lingering thoughts about after I'd finished them than I did
Hmm.
Tears of the Kingdom,
That's fair.
which is a weird thing to say because like you said, Breath of the Wild was my game of the year in 2017.
Hmm.
This is basically more of that, and
Hmm.
with a lot more stuff and everything. Um, but I finished that game and I was like, oh, go back and get to the stuff I didn't get to at some point, and then I just never did.
Oh, see, that's another thing is that I
Yeah,
completed it. Like I did everything. I mapped the depths, I mapped the sky, I finished all the little shiny bits, I got the final armor. Like I did everything in this game.
yeah. So like, I think this game's incredible. Like it is a remarkable improvement over Breath of the Wild in every aspect. It's just for whatever reason, like I just never went back to it, and like I don't know why. For some reason, like I think all the stuff you talked about, all the moments you talked about, are very good, and they are incredible. But
The Ganondorf laugh.
just for whatever reason, this game just like didn't stick with me the same way Breath of the Wild did. And I don't know why. It's just, maybe it's because like it is, it's similar to Breath of the Wild, and I experienced that already, so like it just doesn't have the same lasting impact on me that did. Maybe
Hmm.
it's hard to describe, I guess, is the thing. But yeah, that's kind of why it was much lower on my list than it was on yours. There was a point where it was a very tough choice between putting this at 6 or 7 for me.
Oh
It
wow.
was choosing between this or Trails to Azure.
So this at one point was number four,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up doing some switcheroos, and then after you had your like sit down with your list, look at it, if you're happy with it, stick with it moment,
Mm-hmm.
this one landed at the top.
Nahone.
Hmm.
So yeah, Tears of the Kingdom's very good.
Very good game.
Completely understandable that would be your game of the year.
Yay!
Well, let's talk about my game of the year.
Yes.
It was an interesting struggle for this, but it was definitely one of those games that like I came out of and I was like, I think this might be a top spotter. And it was definitely a choice between this and Resident Evil 4. And I think the reason this one edges out over Resident Evil 4 is because, Resident Evil 4 is a remake. It is technically an old game
Hmm.
that is being remade, and it's an incredible remake. Don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, but this is something completely new.
Yes, it is.
My number one game of the year is Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
That tracks knowing how much you love Mario World.
Mm-hmm. It is the best
And
2D Mario game since Mario World, and you could definitely make the argument that it is the best 2D Mario game they've ever made.
I think I could easily make that argument and be happy with making that
Mm-hmm.
argument.
This game is incredible in a way
It's
that
so good.
was such a surprise considering, the new Super Mario Brothers line of games had been such a disappointment over the years, and to see them come back and make something just completely out of the blue and just essentially whatever they wanted, especially with like the Wonder Seed segments and everything, was such a fun breath of fresh air. And it's very tight gameplay. The co-op, like you mentioned earlier, was very fun to be able to play through the entire game with you and just get into a bunch of shenanigans and everything and help each other out, but also get to experience all those wild moments together. Was such a blast. Um,
Like the elephant pose
yeah,
segment,
yeah.
the music.
Oh man, that's very good.
It's so good.
And then like I like this game so much, I went back and 100%ed it. And I went through and got all the coins and everything, and I went through the very hard final level, and eventually
Oof.
was able to get that done, and that felt like that was a very big sense of accomplishment to get that done, because there are parts of that are very tough.
Mm.
But that was very felt very rewarding and everything, and just it was such a good time going back and just even like just replaying levels and everything, because like the game is just so fun. It's such a joy to play. Like there's just like it's like wrapping yourself up in a blanket and snuggling, and like, you're watching your favorite television show or your favorite movie or playing your favorite game. You're just happy.
Hmm.
It's a sense of happiness that like that's kind of what the Mario games have always supposed to have been. Like that's how they felt like they kind of made these games in. And along the way, especially with the 2D stuff, they kind of lost that sense of happiness, I feel like.
Hmm.
And once you get to this, it's just like this is 2D Mario. 2D Mario is back. It's back. It is better than ever.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth mentioning like how creative and innovative this game was.
Yes.
Like it did things that Mario hasn't really done while also doing what Mario does well
Mm-hmm.
still. Like that was really exciting. And I think that's something that like Nintendo should be applauded for this year is that like both this and Zelda were really innovative in the kind of mechanics that they put in. Like I said, Ultra Hand with Zelda, but like this one had the Wonder Seeds and a lot of like the wild power-ups that you wouldn't expect. Um, and it was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also they got rid of the Wah-Wahs, and I cannot thank them enough.
They replaced the Walls with that final power up that just makes everything very weird sounding.
That's so funny. That's so genuinely funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this was a really fun, and like Bowser just wanted to rock. That's really all he
Yeah.
wanted.
You
And we
just
had
want
to
to have a good
ruin it.
time.
We just had to ruin his good time and his
Oh
hair
man.
and what a bummer. Yeah, we both played as princesses. That was fun.
Yeah.
And there's also um like the accessibility feature of having like the Nabbit and the Yoshi that like people can
But
still
also,
play it.
but they should make that just a toggle. That's still a thing. I think it
I
should be.
agree. I
If
agree.
I had kids or something that wanted to play it, they couldn't do that and were mad about it. Like that would definitely be a sticking point for this. But I don't have that, so that's not that big of a deal for me. But I can see how that is a thing for other people, and
Yeah.
definitely understand that.
I agree that it should have been a toggle. I like that it was at least considered.
Yeah,
That
Nintendo is not necessarily the company you look to for those kind of decisions.
no, no. I mean, like, they did a positive thing. They just didn't implement it perfectly. But I'm glad that it was at least something added in there. Um, Also, like again, it looked so good. Like it was a really pretty, like colorful, fun game.
It's not surprising Nintendo is the one company that knows how to make Switch games look very good. And they continue to do that. But yeah, it's very bright, vibrant, and it just looks incredible. It is,
So fun.
pun intended, it is a wonderful game.
Ooh. Um, and also it was just super, super funny with us, just like, where are the drugs?
Yep. They let Miyamoto get distracted by making the Mario movie, and then the rest of the team was like, let's just do a bunch of drugs.
Let's just do something that's actually good.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, all right. Like, have more people in the room that have good ideas.
And that's what they essentially did. It was because, like,
Yeah,
we talked about this when we talked about the game itself, but like COVID happened, so like that allowed them to basically be like, all right, let's just bring in people who have ideas, because like we can't meet in person or anything, and we'll have these big Zoom meetings and do all this, and it's like, if you have an idea, bring it to us and we'll see if we can implement it, essentially. And that's kind of how a lot of these Wonder Seeds kind of became a thing,
right.
and that's really cool. And it's a good thing that happened, because a lot of those ideas were real wild and real fun.
And I wonder,
Huh?
I wonder if some of that is like more people who are our age, like working with them who played World, that were able to like put in some of the feeling of that again.
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't know. I could be off on that, but it would make sense. Because, I mean, most of us millennials are chasing Super Mario World forever. We just want that high again.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this game, I think it does surpass World,
It's very, very good.
even though it does have some stupidly hard levels. Ah,
uh,
nah. Don't make me auto run and don't make me do lots of weird hopping and I cry.
don't make me bounce on weird animals or whatever they were. I forget what they were.
Hippos.
Hippos, yes. Don't make me bounce on hippos, or don't make
Yes,
Al bounce on hippos. I'm fine with it.
I hate those
I'm okay with
hippos.
it.
Um, but I mean, like there were moments for both of us where like it was so convenient to be able to like have the little ghosty save.
Yes,
Like if
100%.
something went horribly wrong, we're like, help me.
You'd be like, all right,
It's
let's
really
stay
good.
here. And if you don't make it, you can just fly to me and we'll just continue on.
Like it genuinely felt like we were helping each other through it, which was nice.
Yeah. It's a really good
It's a fun
game.
game. Wow, look at Nintendo topping both of our Game of the Year lists with two very different games.
Yeah.
Don't f it up next year, Nintendo.
Don't do it.
I don't know why I'm threatening them.
I mean, they don't deserve to be threatened, but
They know what they did. I don't know what they
they
did.
should be better.
They yeah, do better. But yeah, both of these games are really, really good. Yeah, that was a wild list for both of us.
Yeah, we both knew it was going to be very interesting in terms of where things landed in our list, and that was true.
I'm surprised we had so many match up.
We had like what, 3?
Three.
Yeah.
I didn't expect us to have. I thought we might have maybe one that would match.
We got 3.
Three is not bad.
Quite a bit of overlap as well, but that's also to be
Yeah,
expected.
just in different positions.
But yeah, good games this year.
Applause for the good games. Did you just clap once and that's it?
No, I'm clapping a lot.
Oh, okay. I only heard one clap. I was like, oh, okay.
Just one clap. That's it.
Yep, that's all. That's all you get.
One single clap. But yeah, that's gonna do it for Game of the Year this year. It's gonna do it for 2023. That's gonna do it for this year.
It's in the books.
It is in the
It's
books. We have to now walk forward towards 2024.
where the next 2 months are going to be wild with game releases.
It's JRPG bonanza.
I love JRPGs, so.
So yeah. We'll definitely be diving into some Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, some Persona 3, some
Reload.
Final Fantasy 7,
Rebirth.
all that fun stuff.
It'll be wild. Segway 2024.
Yeah. Year of the Segway, 2024.
Year of the Segway. Oh my God. And they're both coming out within like weeks of each other.
Mm-hmm. Like a month of each other.
Still, like, a month is weeks.
You're not wrong.
But we get Segways in both of them.
It's pretty good.
It's so good. So good. I'm calling it now, the year of the Segway.
But yeah, that's it for us this year.
Yay, we did it.
Our game of the years are done. We don't have to think about them, and I still have to write mine up and everything, but, don't have to stress about them. We're done.
We're done.
Sit back and relax.
Yay. You want a power wash?
No. I'm retiring. But that's going to do it for us this week. So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonlandmecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. You'll also find write-ups, written forms of our Game of the Year lists on both of our websites. So if you want to read some words, you can do that. You can find Al at annladium.com, where she's got words.
I have words, several words, many words.
You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonlandmecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next week will be 2024. Will be January. We got a bunch of stuff we could talk about. We got Anonymous Code. We got Rain Code. Codes. There's two Otome games. We could talk about Suzume.
Oh, we could.
That's 5 things. We got a handful of stuff we could choose from. So
that's good. That's good. We're gonna need it, especially since we're gonna have like neck deep in games. Starting the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll decide. We'll figure out something from that list or something else. I don't know entirely, but we'll figure it out and reconvene and kick the year off right? Question mark.
Right. See you in 2024, kids.
See you in 2024.